Greetings, everyone. I'm Luke Bryan Smith, and welcome to Enlightened, Empowered, Evolved, where we educate, motivate, and liberate you through enlightening dialogues, empowering music, and evolving content. Hope everyone's doing well and everything's unfolding perfectly. I'm excited yet again because my next extraordinary guest is the author of The Venus Trap, Sex, Lies, and Repercussions, a raw, thought-provoking memoir that explores the psychology of love, obsession, and emotional patterns in relationships. Through personal storytelling and deep reflection, he shares insights on human behavior, attachment, and the journey towards self awareness and growth. Without further ado, allow me to introduce to you Dr. Stephen Edwards. How are you doing today, Doctor?
I'm doing fantastic, Luz. Thanks very much for having me. I'm looking forward to this. We're going to have some fun.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I just want to say this before I move any further that I believe that time is one of our most precious assets. And for you to choose to spend even a moment of your time here with me on Enlightened, Empowered, Evolved, I just want to extend my sincerest gratitude. Thank you for being here at this present moment with me.
I appreciate that. And I recognize that time is our most valuable resource. In fact, I talk about that to my students all the time. We give up time too easily. And it's our most valuable resource. You know, they say time is money, and it isn't. That's a lie, right?
Right,
It's,
right,
you can
right.
replace money, but you can't replace time, right? So
No,
I appreciate you having me on your show and sharing your time with me. Thank you.
absolutely, absolutely. You're very welcome. So, Doctor, let's just get right into it. You're the author of The Venus Flytrap, Sex, Lies, and Repercussions. Give us a little insight on that. I mean, just a little bit because we want people to read it, but tell us how you came up with this. Yeah, what it entails, and yeah, a little bit of the
All right.
journey.
All right. Well, thank you for asking that. I didn't come up with it. It's a story. It's a true
Okay,
story
okay,
about a period in my life
all right,
that is quite extraordinary,
all right,
um, in not the best ways. It
right,
was a
right,
very toxic, crazy relationship,
right,
and it was an amazing experience, and I'm very grateful for it. I
right.
wouldn't want to go through it again, but it was one of the greatest gifts in my life because it got me to look at my what you might call it my shadow self,
Mm,
the
right,
dark side of me, right? The areas of my life that I had given up, fragmented, and needed to face. So it was a gift, and she was a gift to me in many many ways. How the actual title came about is kind of funny. I was just going through my fourth divorce at the beginning of this, so I was, having I was going through a trauma. And very often miracles happen in your life when you're going through trauma, right? Or it takes a trauma to put them in there. So I was going through my fourth divorce. I know, hard to believe, but fourth divorce. And I don't think anybody gets married to get divorced, right, Lud? I think I'm an optimist and maybe too optimistic. So anyway, I was going, and divorce is traumatic, no matter what it is and how many it is, right? It's traumatic.
absolutely.
So I was going through a trauma, and I was also burned out, to be honest with you, Lute. I've, been traveling like crazy for years, doing the events, the mind, body, spirit events, and working with Tony Robbins and doing all that. So I was exhausted, and I was kind of, when you get burned out, what you're passionate about, you're not anymore, right? You're not because you're so
Mm,
tired, right? You just need a
mm,
break. And I was at that point. And so that's when things happen. That's when you pull things into your life that are going to teach you, you know?
right,
And I use the analogy that this experience is like the dark night of the soul, right? Where you're really going to have to face your deepest, darkest parts of yourself so
right,
that you can overcome them or you can heal them, right? And the process is painful. It's very painful. And you break down, and when you're breaking down, it's part of a rebirth. The dark night of the soul is to let go of your old and welcome in the new. But it's difficult because as you're going through a rebirth, the person you were is actually dying. So you're going through a death too, of that part of you that you can never get back, and you'll never be again. You don't want to be that person anymore. You don't want to be doing those things anymore, but still you got to grieve for that, right? You grieve that past that can never come back. and you go through it. It's like, walking through the fire. When I do my events, I often do fire walks, and it's, walking through that fire is scary, but on the other side is your freedom.
Mm, right. And let me allow me to elaborate a bit. I mean, this what you just articulated never gets old because I'll highlight a few things like when you said that I wouldn't want to go through it again, but it was necessary. And same with me. And I've been through
Mhm.
divorce as well. And that was one of
Mhm.
my, um, I would say, transformational moments where I felt like that I wasn't going to make it, man. I mean, because it was, two children involved and just things like that,
Mhm.
I'm very close to. And it just, just a lot of, toxic things going on. I'm not placing
Mhm.
any blame. I'm not a
Mhm.
victim.
Yeah.
But you can either, when you go through these things, you can either submit to a victim mode or I mean, of course you go through a grief period, but you get back up. Like you said, it's kind of a breaking down and then a rebuilding. Um, and just to know that life is set up. The situations and circumstances we go through aren't meant to just tear us apart. Well, yeah, tear us apart, but not to stay torn apart.
Yeah.
And that's the way I look at life now. Like everything, no matter what, and people can get very technical and throw out some what I think is silly things, but everything is meant to build us up and help us in some capacity. No matter what it seems like at first. And yes, oftentimes we go through things and no, we don't want to go through that again. But when you come out on the other side, you're going to be a different person, and I attest to that. So for you just to to clarify that and be an example of that lets me know that this is this 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 book, this literary work of yours is something I definitely want to dive into.
Well, thank you. One of the things that, people say, what got you through it? What got you to the other side? And just picking up on what you said there, I adopted a belief some time ago, uh, that nothing happens to you, everything happens for you, which is what you're articulating now. Now,
Absolutely.
it's easy to say that, Luke, but it's different to live it, right? That
Yes.
when the world is falling down around you, and you go, yeah, this is happening for me. It's not that easy, right?
Yeah.
Because you want to think, well, yeah, getting this, uh, something great is happening to you. Oh, yeah, I manifested that. Look at me.
Yeah.
I
Right.
manifest whatever I want, right? Then something bad has happened. Oh, someone did something to me. That's somebody else's fault. We manifest it all.
Right.
And, and again, just to clarify, I'm not saying that every time something catastrophic happens in my life, I immediately go, oh, great, this is happening for me. That doesn't work like that, right?
Hmm.
I get frustrated, I'll get angry, but then
Absolutely.
when I calm down, I'm going to go, okay, committed to this belief. This happened for me. So what is the silver lining? What is the
Right.
gift here? And I always find it. I always find it.
Thank you.
So that was one of the things that really got me through is I knew it wasn't happening to me. You said right at the beginning, I'm not a victim. That's powerful, man, because most
Right.
people, even though they don't realize it, they are.
Right.
Well, she said this and she did that and she did the other. Listen, dude, she might have, but you created her. You created it.
Right.
You drew her into
You
your
drew.
life. Yep. You pulled her into your life, man. So
Yes,
what is the
absolutely.
gift for you? You can't change her or him, right? The only thing you can do is look at what is the gift for you here? What is the opportunity for you here? Where is the growth for you here? And
Solution. Yes.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
right.
the
Focus.
key, the golden nugget, yeah,
Yeah,
the fuel for you. Where is it?
exactly.
And that adds not to cut you off, but that adds a bit of you know, I don't really want to say mystery, but just makes life sort of, intriguing and exciting, knowing that it can be sort of like a treasure hunt, so to speak, to find those golden nuggets out of everything. That everything that happens, it's to teach you something or to give you something, to give you a gift. Even when I listen to who is it? I think it's either Joseph Murphy or Dr. Joseph Murphy or Neville Goddard. It says that
Oh,
everything, yeah, it says that everything um, um, uh, uh, brings with it, every adversity brings with it seeds of, something good, you know?
I love Neville Goddard. He's
Oh,
amazing.
yeah. Neville
Just going
Goddard.
back to what you said earlier, which I pick up on as well, is the mystery,
Right.
being prepared to step into the mystery, right? It takes courage, you know, because we can't see what is going. I mean, we want a plan, right? And we do, but God laughs at our plans, right? Oh yeah, you think that's going to go that way, right? And it's a mystery, and being able. So many people are scared of the mystery.
Right.
They want to have so much certainty. They want to know exactly what's going to happen tomorrow and control it, but they're not letting it happen. They're not letting the
Right.
universe unfold for them, right? They're trying to control it, which is super stressful, right?
It
That's
is.
the stress, trying to control not just the outside world, but the people around. I mean, I've done it, right? Trying to control the people around me. It's freaking exhausting, right?
It
It's
is.
exhausting, and it doesn't work anyway, right?
Doesn't work, but what I gather is it's a familiar discomfort. So okay, I'm already familiar with this, so I'm familiar with this pain, so I'll stay here
Yeah.
and not really uh too a bit too afraid to embrace what's on the other side of the door, so to
Yeah, that's
speak, if you
very
will.
powerful. Yeah. People are like, well, I know this pain. I understand it. I can handle it. I don't know about that pain on the other side of that door. I'd
Right,
rather stay here and be in this level of discomfort than it be worse than it is. Yeah, you're absolutely right, man.
right, right. Yeah. So in regards to your book, is what is it basically about?
Well, it's about a successful English businessman
Okay.
um, who, drug himself up from the floor, came from, you know, what do you call it? Humble beginnings, and an international supermodel that was born into wealth. Her father was a billionaire.
Mm,
She's a complete brat, right? So, used to getting whatever she wants when she wants it, but incredibly beautiful, intelligent, and tremendously flawed, as and I was too, and I am too.
right,
Um,
right.
but just an incredible creature. She's 5'11" on her bare feet. Would always wear
Mm.
6 inch heels. So she's 6'5", right? So
Oh,
you
wow.
just see her coming, right? She just flows, right? And everybody's just like, oh my God.
Who is
So,
it?
and I'm kind of, walking behind. Nobody notices me. I mean, it's just which is, so she's very authentic in that she was who she was,
Right.
and it's like you either accept me or you don't. I don't care. I'm going to be who I am. So she was to me, and what drew me to her, obviously her beauty, right? She's incredibly beautiful. But also the fact that she had this incredible aura, confidence, um, and she was willing, prepared, and had the courage to be who she is,
Mhm.
And I
Right.
think that's what we all want in the end. We all want to be able to be who we are in the presence of others. And so often, even though we don't realize it consciously, we're holding back.
Mm.
We're not
Yes.
being our full selves, right? We're not putting out into the world that level of confidence. Now, people would
Right.
say, well, you seem confident, you're getting on stage in front of thousands of people. That's a different thing.
Right.
That's an act, right?
Hmm.
That's playing a role on a stage in front of people. It's not who you are, right?
Right.
And people sometimes don't realize that you're on stage. So people put you on a pedestal and people say, oh, you get off the stage and people say you're amazing. And you're going, you don't know who I am, right? That
Right.
there is not who I am, right? I'm putting on a performance aimed at helping you take some of these tools and use them in your own life. Um, if you're just espousing incredible tools all the time, you're going to look amazing, right? So
Exactly.
you
Can
got
I
to be
elaborate really quick without you
sure.
losing your train of thought?
Yeah.
And thank you, because what you just said, uh, I would like to reflect on myself as well when I'm doing this podcast. Even though I do show elements of, authenticity and being this isn't who I am in its entirety. I'm here to, of course, help and elevate myself and the people who watch this, but this is not me,
Mhm.
So no, I really resonated with what you said. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No,
Go
you're
ahead,
very
doctor.
welcome. Nice of you to say that. Yeah, we play a role, and
Right.
what we want is to be accepted for who we are. So, for example,
Right.
you're speaking on stage, you're on your podcast, you've got all your people that love you and listen to you, and you espouse wonderful things. Um, but so for me, people would say, I would say, people would say, "Oh, you're just so what's the word? You're such an extrovert."
Mm,
Well, I'm not. I'm not an extrovert. I'm an introvert.
mm,
I spend time on my own. Uh, and for me to be out and with people, that takes energy from me.
right.
So an extrovert, when they're out in front of people, they gain energy from that,
Right.
right? Whereas an introvert, it takes a tremendous amount of energy to put themselves out there, and they need to spend time alone to recover, recoup, regenerate, rejuvenate, and re-energize.
Let me pause you one more time.
Yeah,
And I know, see, I know things always happen. That's who I am. It
yeah,
takes a lot of energy for me to be here. And
yeah,
if you speak to those around me, my wife, I'm always shut away in the room,
yeah,
reading or listening to classical music or whatever to recharge or
yeah,
meditating or whatever I'm doing. I'm
yeah,
working on projects alone.
yeah,
That's who I am. I love
yeah,
spending time with myself. I never say I'm by myself. I'm with myself, and
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
enjoy that the
yeah,
most, to be honest
yeah,
with you. I do.
yeah.
So yeah,
And
thank you for
we
that
need, and we
clarity as
need.
well.
Oh, you're welcome. We need that, Luke, because that's when we are in the mode of also, as you said, learning.
Right.
And then we're going to talk about those discoveries, right? About ourselves, about, other people around us, and we bring that experience to our work, right? But it's part of our work, right? Without doing that, what are you going to talk about? Right?
Mm,
You got nothing to
absolutely.
say, right? So yeah, yeah. So yeah, well, so you can only say that if you were doing it. So you recognize that.
No, I recognize that because people they say, "Oh, you're so outgoing. You this." Yes, I'm able to adapt and be that way, but I have to draw that energy from myself from being alone. You know,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
yes, and I that's where I thrive uh the most is when I'm with myself.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel the same way.
Yeah. So that's absolutely amazing for you to highlight that and to be a reminder, because I've never put that out there like that, and that's amazing that the way you put that hey, I'm not an extrovert. You can do it, of course, and
Yeah,
make it
yeah,
seem that way, of course,
right.
but it
Yeah,
takes a lot of energy for me to do this. Like you said, people that are really extroverts, they get energy from that, and they
that's right.
lose energy being alone. No, I
Yes,
get energy
yeah,
being alone.
yeah. They get anxious being alone. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
no, I
So
love
they
it.
lose energy. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
No,
So
that
it's quite a journey, man. And the book is a journey. I met her, and you asked me how they become the Venus flytrap. It was just we know there's no coincidences and everything happens for a
abs-
reason, right?
absolutely
So it was a little miracle. So I'm going through this divorce, and finally, my friend in the book, Jerry, says, "Look, man, you got to get out of this funk. You've grieved it. I get it, but now it's time to pick yourself up and get back out there." I said, "Okay."
right.
So then he says, "Maybe you should date again." I was like, "What?"
Again.
I'm traveling 4 days a week. I mean, yeah, again, right? Going through my fourth divorce. You think I'm going to do this again, right? What are you crazy? So anyway, I get on this dating site, and it's an international dating site, right?
Right.
So I see her, man, and I'll never forget. I just now as I say it, and I saw her, like,
This is
boom.
it.
This is it, man. This is the one. And then I started, when it's somebody that you're really attracted to, you your confidence goes down 50%, right? Because you're
Right.
like,
Right. Right.
what did they say? What if they don't respond? What if they do respond? Holy shit,
Yeah. What
So
am I gonna say?
what am I going to say, right? So anyway, finally, I pluck up the courage to send her a text. And of course, it's way too long. I'm trying to say too much. Anyway, bottom line is I managed to, she was, ironically, she lived like 30 minutes down the road from me. It's an
Mm,
international website. People were flying all over the world meeting, and she lives down 30 minutes down the road.
Wow.
So anyway, I finally convinced her to have a coffee with me. Pretty weak, right? A coffee, right? So she agrees to have a coffee with me. Next day, she cancels.
Oh, wow.
So finally, I get her to agree to go for dinner with me, right? So
Mhm,
now I'm like, I got to tie this down. I don't want her canceling again, right?
mhm.
So we're texting backwards and forwards, and I asked her, I said, "What's your favorite flower?" So now she knows I'm going to buy her some flowers, right?
Right.
And she says, the bird of paradise.
Mm.
So I mean, I'm a joke around, man, all the time. I'm very sarcastic. I like to have fun, and I'm joking.
That's
So I
me.
said, I said to her, so I texted back. I said, "Nah, mine too," which it actually is, right? But then I said, "It's a bit expensive though. What's your second favorite?" So, so she texted back instantly, Lou, Venus flytrap.
Mm. Wow.
So in that moment, there was the dichotomy. She's this beautiful bird of paradise,
Right.
but she's also the Venus
Venus
flytrap.
flytrap.
And I
Wow.
knew, we know, right? My intuition said she's dangerous, right? She's dangerous.
Mm.
Venus
Mhm.
flytrap, it eats flies. It's carnivorous, right?
But she
And I
intrigued you.
knew, yeah, and yeah, well, she intrigued me, but I knew I was going to be the fly, and my job was to keep escaping. My job was to keep escaping being devoured, right? Which it was, and I did, and that's what brings the hilarity to it. It's
Mm.
hilarious what we go through. It's tragic, it's hilarious, it's enlightening, it's empowering, and it's also what not to do,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
How you get drawn into, or you can get drawn into a toxic relationship
Right.
where you completely lose yourself
Right.
in
Right.
somebody else, right? So she became my heroine.
Mm.
I was addicted to her
Wow.
to where and I realized it, but I was prepared to do that to be with her.
Mm. Whoa.
So, yeah, yeah.
So this
So,
is a entirely true story.
entirely true story. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow. Yes,
yeah.
because when I first heard the title, I was like, okay, this is a, a, a fantasy or, and then read a little bit further and then I said, oh, okay, this is actually, true. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, if you look at the cover of the book, you're going, oh, this is an erotic fantasy. It's an erotic
Right.
romance.
Right.
And it is. It is to some degree. But there's just so much more to the story
Mm,
uh, that I mean, we have, it gets into mental illness, right?
mm,
Because, it's, and it's also where I had to make myself vulnerable
right.
to to write it, right? I mean, I had to talk about all the humiliating things that happened to me as a young boy. I had to talk about, me being admitted to an insane asylum at 16 years of age, right?
Wow.
And the mirror of it, because she had almost identical, almost identical.
Mm,
She was put in an asylum when she was 16.
mm. Yeah.
So we were
You drew your mirror to you. Yeah.
exactly. I drew my mirror to me, Lute.
Right.
Exactly. We were mirrors of each other.
With each other.
We were both totally crazy.
Mm,
So you imagine that energy. We were both very controlling, very powerful, very
mm.
dynamic. Uh, and then you put two people like that together, there's going to be an explosion, right?
Right.
Where we create chaos. So two people like that, it's just insanity, right? I mean, you're halfway through the book and you think, wow, how long have they been together? And you think been a couple of years. It's been 6 months.
Mm.
There's
Went through so much. Right.
so much was happening. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow. That's yeah, and you two created a toxic cocktail together, huh?
We did, and as much as there is a lot of toxicity, right?
You're right.
We were very sexually matched, so we had the same kind of strong, passionate sexuality. We had a sex room, right? I mean, all this stuff was going on, and there was a
Right.
lot of things that happened which were very painful and very destructive. But as I say in the book, we tend to focus on that, but there was also amazing times we had together. You know,
Right.
we would travel the world. We had a lot of fun. We shared, just as intense the toxicity was, so was the love. And so was
Right.
the love bombing each other, doing fun things together, doing funny things to each other,
Each other.
having
Right.
having banter. We were bantering all the time to see who could get the last word and the funniest thing. And on our first night, uh, we've had dinner, we've gone for a walk, we'd had a good time, and then it's late, early hours of the morning now. So then I said to her, "Are you hungry?" She goes, "I could eat." I said, "Well, how do you like Denny's?" So we just eaten at this amazing, beautiful restaurant, been in this beautiful cabana, beautiful hotel, beautiful downtown St. Petersburg. And then I said to you want to go to Denny's? You know what she said? Denny's would be great. So we
Wow.
could we could live the highs, live the lows,
Right.
have the high life, and also just be down to it. And then Denny's will be a blast, right?
Right.
So so I said to her, okay, I'll take the Denny's. And it was late, so she just started to nod off it a little bit. We were in St. Petersburg. I live in Sarasota, which is 40 minutes away. So I decided to take it. I'd already said, "Do you want to go to Sarasota?" I'd given a reason to go. And she said, "I'm not going anywhere with you, right?" So she gets laying back in the seat, and I take it to Sarasota, right? She doesn't know that, but she gets out of the car and she goes, "Where are we?" And I said, "We're at Denny's." I just wasn't geographically specific, but she knew. She goes, "I knew I couldn't trust you, right?" But we go into Denny's. There's nobody in there, right? And so, the I called him the maitre d'. I go up to him and I said, "Listen, man, I know this is going to sound crazy, but if there's any way you can get a table for two for us, right? Like I'm at Spargo or something, right?" He goes, "For you, sir, I'm going to get you the best table in the house." I said, "Thank you, because this is my first date and I really want to impress her." He said, and she said, "Can you call the police? He's kidnapped me." So we're having all this banters going on, man. We're having a great time. And that was all the time, we were laughing and fooling around. So there was a lot of amazing times, but it was very destructive. I lost myself in her.
Right.
I stopped doing the things that made me who I am. And so I was losing my identity. And unfortunately, in those kind of relationships, that is when the Venus flytrap will devour you.
Right.
And there's nobody left around you, and they've got you. Um, and that almost happened many times. Somehow, the fly miraculously was able to escape.
Wow. And from my perspective, I think your book is amazing from what you've described thus far. And the fact that you are highlighting a lot, I don't want to say most because I don't know most people, but a lot of what I've experienced is people do lose themselves, their
Yeah,
identity, um,
yeah.
trying to fit into a certain relationship, and you know, and next thing you know, they don't recognize themselves anymore. So just the fact that you're tapping into that, I'm interested to
Yeah,
read.
it's so interesting, Lou. You know what you say is so right and powerful. And that's one of the things that's been powerful for me is that
Right,
when people read it, they say exactly that, man. I've been through something similar, or I see myself in there, or things like this
right,
that I'm like, wow, that's awesome. That's what I hoped for.
right.
I know that when I was going through it, I very often felt alone,
Mm,
that
right,
nobody's ever been through this. This has only happened to me, and no one would understand. And the people around you are so against what's going on, that you feel like you can't tell anybody, you can't talk to anybody about it. And so one of the things I want to do with this is to help people see they're not alone, that
right,
many people have been through this, and to create a community and a space where people can, be vulnerable like I was, and talk about these things. And then when you do that, when I do my events and people get up and speak about their issues, then what happens is they draw people around them that are going through you see it, they come up to them and give them a tissue or, put their arm around them because they're telling their story, right?
right,
And everybody feels better about themselves, right?
right.
Oh, wow, I'm okay. It's okay to
It's
have
not
these.
just me.
It's not just me. Exactly. Exactly.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's from listening to you speak. I mean, you know. other than of course, our physical differences. I resonated. You were telling us many certain elements and situations in my own life. Just when I was listening to you speak from the time we got on here, I'm like, you be amazed at how many people share your similar stories and your journeys, and they want to relate and they want to hear how you navigated through. And yeah, your book, your literature is a way to do that, and that's amazing.
Yeah, you said something really important there too, that it's across cultures.
Right,
Doesn't matter where you're from, you know, your origins, your ethnicity. We
right,
all have these things that go in our lives, and that's
exactly,
also what connects us, right? It's what connects us. We
right,
connect through our experiences. And prior to all this happening, I'd spent a lot of time in which makes this even funnier.
right.
The personal development area, the spiritual development. But none of that matters when the universe says it's time now for you to face the shadow side of you,
You,
to
right,
stop running away from who you really are.
right, right.
And what will happen is you will draw into your life a person who is and uses all those parts of yourself that you have pushed away. And now you judge. You don't even realize it, right? So, like we see people that, I hate billionaires. Well,
Mm.
why? Why?
Why?
Exactly. So what
You're
you're
right,
saying, what you're really saying is, I um, refute my wealth.
right. And
I,
I never
I
want to
don't, I
be a
don't, I
billionaire.
don't, exactly. I don't care about money and all these things. And what you're doing is you're diminishing yourself, right?
Thank you,
I
thank you.
don't deserve it. You don't have to have millions of dollars.
Right.
The point is, when you're judging it, it's because there's something, it's part of you that you are judging, right?
Thank you.
Or,
Yes.
you know, or I don't need a man, or I don't need a
Yeah.
woman. Well,
You're
why?
sabotaging your whole being. You're sabotaging your life before you even give it a chance. You're
Well, you can help.
contradicting what
Yeah.
what you say you want.
Exactly. I mean,
Or
so
what?
why bring it up?
Right.
I wasn't saying do you need a man or a woman. You just suddenly bring because that is saying that I'm afraid of it.
I'm afraid.
And so you're
Right.
going to
There it
bring
is.
it into your life until you heal that
Yeah.
part of yourself. So you can accept that part of yourself. That it's okay for a woman to be reliant on a man.
Right.
It's okay for a man to be reliant on a woman.
Right.
It's okay. The challenge comes in when you've got to charge on it, right?
Mm.
When you've got to charge, when you think, oh, I hate men or I hate women or I hate money. That's
Right.
an issue. That's an issue, right? That's an
Right.
issue.
Right. You're
You're going to have to
afraid
deal.
either you're not going to be able to get it. That's what it is. So you might as well write it off.
Mhm.
You think you don't deserve whatever, and you write it off. But whatever it is you're not speaking, life into your existence. I just made a post on that recently about
Mm.
speaking life or death into your existence, your paradigm,
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
experiences, and you got to be
That's a
careful
really
with
great
that.
way. It's a great
Be
way to
careful
put it.
with that.
I love that. Yeah. So put life into it,
Yeah.
not death. Yeah. Very good.
Life
Excellent.
affirming. So, how can we find your book? Is it on Amazon or do you have your own website? How can we find you?
I have both, right? It's on Amazon and it's on my website. But what I
Okay.
do, and I think I'm pretty sure they sent you a link, right?
Okay.
So we're all just meeting here, right? And we're
Right.
talking about this book. But what I would suggest, if you're interested, we've sent a link for your viewers
Right.
that they can get the first three chapters of the book for free.
Okay.
See if they enjoy that. If that resonates with them, then if they want to, they can buy the book. And also, as I am a coach, right, and I now coach people on, and I'm able to do that because I lived it, right? So how not to get in a toxic relationship, how to get out of one if you need to, right? And if you might been in one, how not to get in another one, right? And also how to, do the things we've been talking about and the title of your podcast, right?
Mm,
You know, we all
right.
want to be more enlightened. We all want to be empowered. We all want to evolve.
Right.
And so, I can help as a catalyst for that. I can't change anybody. You know that, right?
Right.
But what I can do from what I've learned from my life experiences, I can give you tools.
Mm.
So I went through all this, and then people will say, well, are you healed? And I would say, I have no idea. I don't know because
Yeah.
I've
What's
spent,
healed? What's
right.
healed? Tell me the healed. Tell me, show
That's
me.
like saying, can you get back to normal? I said, well, can you explain normal to me?
What's
So
normal? When were
I,
you ever normal?
right. But what they were asking me, would I go back into that relationship again?
Right.
And I say to them, well, look, I will only ever know for sure when I'm put back in that situation again and how I react and what I do.
There you
Am I
go.
going to be hooked? Right.
Right.
So I spent 3 years alone, writing the book and never dating and just being with myself, which is powerful and cathartic on its own. And then, as would happen, if you pull yourself out of something, you're going to be tested. I
Mm.
knew I was going to be tested.
Exactly.
And I was, and I have been. And the good news for me is, and when you said, what is healed? I'm not fully healed, right? I'm healing. I'm in the
Right.
process.
There you
I'm a
go.
lot, I'm a lot further along than I was then. That's my point. But I
There you go.
wasn't hooked, Luke.
Right.
I had no desire to do it again, and I could have.
Mm.
I had no desire.
Right.
So that tells me not that I'm fully healed, but that I am further along now, and I am in a place where I love myself,
There you go.
most of the time.
There
But
you go.
I'm happy being alone. I'm happy being with me, and I
Right.
don't need someone. Doesn't mean I won't have another relationship,
Right.
but I've also set parameters and
Mm.
boundaries to it,
Boundaries.
right? Yeah,
Right.
which I was never good at before, and that's so critical, right? So, yeah. So to the extent that would I do this again? No, and I know that now. It's not just something I'm saying, right? I know that
Right.
because I was given the opportunity to do that, and I won't do that again, which is great.
Right.
So,
Right.
the great thing about what I do, and I know you're the same way. You do it from experience,
Right. Right. And then
and
you have vantage points and different angles to see things from, different lenses to look through. So
and the other
amazing.
thing that I bring is the blessing that I've worked directly with some of the most powerful influencers like Tony Robbins,
Tony Robbins. Yep.
and
Yeah.
and going back, Deepak Chopra, Wayne Dyer, and all these
Yep.
that had a
Wayne
great
Dyer. I love
influence.
Wayne Dyer. I have
Yeah,
several of his books.
yeah.
Yep. Hmm.
So learning all those things, and because I work with Tony, I got to meet them all anyway. But the point is, um, that's all theoretical. So I
Right.
had the theoretical, I had the tools, and now I've had the experience,
Mm.
real
There you
life.
go. To go
And it's
with it.
good going, yeah, to go with it. So it brings a nice dynamic to it. And I provide that to everybody on a one-on-one basis where we work on them. It's not like, okay, so now you're going to plug into this system. You're going to do this, this, and this. Well, it might not relate to them. It might not be right for them. So
Right.
I spend some time getting to know them and finding out where they are. It's like a journey. I got to know where you are in order to help you get where you want to go.
There
Uh,
you go.
and so that's it. Yeah. So thank you for asking that.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, thank you, Dr. Stephen, for being here once again. And I'll be sure to incorporate those links into the description of this segment when it's all edited and uploaded and contact you once upon completion. But thank you very much for bringing your authentic self here and your amazing works and passions and purposes here on the Enlightened Empowered Evolved podcast. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Luke. I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Absolutely. And thank you everyone for watching and or listening. Be sure to hit the like button, the subscribe button, share this. Not only help the platform grow, but get this information out there. Someone who may need it. Thank you. Until next time, love and appreciation to everyone. See you soon. Enlightened, empowered, evolved.